Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of the Worthiness Codes Podcast. I'm your host, Jaclyn Francis, and as always, it is so beautiful to be in this space with you today. Okay, go ahead and grab a pen and paper for this episode or open your notes app. This is going to be one of those episodes where I'm sharing information with you to use as a tool on your journey. I have decided to split this episode into two parts to make it super digestible because my intention behind this episode or these two episodes are that you can gain the awareness to move through what is presenting itself to you, whether that was in the past and these wounds were coming to surface, but you didn't hold the awareness to move through it, to recognize it. Whether it's happening right now in your life, you will now have the tools to be able to move through these things. Or if it's going to happen and present itself in the future, you can come back to this episode, you can come back to your notes, and you now have the awareness and the tools to help you move through these woundings. So what we are going to be discussing, overarching theme, mother wound, father wound, anxious attachment, avoidant attachment. Part 1, and what we are discussing today is going to be all about the father wound and anxious attachment. I want to start off by saying I'm going to be talking about masculine and feminine energies. Today's episode, part 1, is going to be focused on the feminine. Now, to make it very clear, as a being, no matter if you're a woman or a man, we have both feminine and masculine energies within us. I want you to think of it within your own body. The left side of your body is your feminine, the right side of your body is your masculine. These energies are meant to come into union internally with one another, to be in balance with each other. So you can begin to move through life within this sacred dance within yourself, flowing between your feminine and masculine as they are innately part of you. Of course, some of the time you're going to have to lean more heavily into your feminine. Some of the time you're going to have to lean more heavily into your masculine. As women, and in today's day and age, we are conditioned to be more in our masculine energy, which causes us to forget the power that is found within the feminine energy. When you come into divine union with an actual counterpart, an actual man in the physical, you have that masculine energy to lean on to then allow you to be more in your feminine energy, because what I believe is that as women is where our power lies, to be more flowy, to hold trust, to hold the ability to surrender, to be nurturing, to be caring, to have unconditional love, to be intuitive, right? These are where our power as women, again, lies. That does not mean that we are not meant to be in our healthy masculine. What I have noticed on my journey, and very much recently, is that if you don't look at the masculine energy within you, if you don't look at the things that need to be healed within the masculine energy, it is going to cause disruption within your external reality. Of course, because everything that you are within is going to be reflected without. Your internal reality is reflected of your external reality, vice versa. So, with that being said, again, pen and paper, take notes on this. Today is father wound and anxious attachment. Part 2 to this is the mother wound and avoidant attachment. To make it clear, because we both have masculine and feminine energies within us, and as someone who is incredibly deep, has journeyed through the depths of her soul, has come here to clear ancestral karma, and is comfortable working within the shadows, I have seen clearly both of these wounds come to surface. Depending on your own journey in this lifetime, depending on what you have experienced in your past, what you're currently going through now, if you are someone that is aware of ancestral trauma and has come here to clear all of that wounding for the betterment of yourself and future generations, you will be aware of both of these wounds because it goes so much further than just yourself. But what I will say is that The father wound typically manifests within the feminine, within women, and the mother wound typically manifests within the masculine, within men. Again, we hold both of these wounds. To what degree? It depends on yourself, on your journey. While adding on to that, in what degree these wounds want to present themselves to. Because we are not meant to work through everything within one lifetime. That would be so overwhelming. I mean, maybe some of you guys do, but from what I experience is that at certain points in your journey in this life, a wound will come to surface because whatever you're experiencing or about to experience in life, it wants to present itself so then it can be cleared. So again, today we're focusing on the father wound and anxious attachment. So if this is something that you are interested in or if you feel called to listen, know that if it's not presenting itself to you right now, it may in the future. So drop in with me and let's get to it. Okay. What is the father wound? Essentially, what this is wounding that stems from a person's father. And this can present itself to you from things that your dad, that your father has done in the past that have made you feel on a subconscious level a certain type of way that you have not consciously come to terms with, that you have not consciously understood. Usually when a wound is this big, a father wound is a very, very big wound. This is a core wound. The way I see father and mother wounds is a core wounding within your being. Within this wounding, you will have smaller wounds that stem from it that also have specific patterns that stem from those smaller wounds as well. So I'm actually going to pull up a picture for those of you that are watching on YouTube. I created this in a meditation and okay, this is super janky, but I'm going to hold it up to the camera. For those of you that are not watching on YouTube, I will describe it quickly. I created a visual of this because I'm such a visual person and it helps me to see things when I can draw them out. So the father wound is at the top in a bubble, a big circle. And there are three wounds that stem from the father wound in a vertical line, which I will get to in a second. But around all of these wounds, these 4 wounds, is another circle that makes up the root chakra. Because the root chakra is a masculine energy, because the root chakra houses our ability to feel safe. This is typically rooted. The father wound is typically rooted in the root chakra. Now, the reason being is because as women, we want to feel safe. That is one of our biggest, but probably biggest needs, fundamental, animalistic needs in this lifetime is to feel safe. And we want to feel safe in the hands of the masculine. So when your dad, does something to shake up that safety within you, whether it was on a conscious level on his part, a subconscious level on his part, whether it may not directly have anything to do with you, it could have done something to do with your mom. It could have been something that's more ancestral, right? Again, this all just depends on your own journey and how it has manifested within your life and how it's showing up for you. But anything that stems from the paternal lineage that has created more of these woundings that I'm going to get into, just bear with me, that is the father wound. What I have noticed in my own journey is that anxious attachment is a direct cause from the father wound. Now, when we look at anxious attachment, and this usually shows up within relationships, It's when we feel like we need to latch on to our counterpart because we are scared that they are going to leave us. We are scared that they are going to abandon us. We are scared that they are going to do something that doesn't make us feel safe. And safety, again, is tied to the father wound because safety is tied to the masculine and safety is housed in the root chakra. So, anxious attachment, that behavior, and I want you to think about how you are naturally in romantic relationships. This could be relationships to your parents, to your friends, to even jobs, how you show up in your life. Anxious attachment shows up as a pattern or as an energy of insecurity within yourself, right? You don't feel secure enough in yourself to be exactly who you are, to speak your truth, to show up in your greatest and highest good because you rather put the betterment of someone else in front of you because again, you were anxiously attached to them and you want to hold on to them and make sure that they don't abandon you. And I keep saying the word abandon because you're going to see when I explain part 2 to this, the mother wound and how that's tied to abandonment, that attachment style. These are both polarities to one another. And on that chart that I had you screenshot, it's showing that this entire wounding and the stemming from this wounding are all polarities. And that's why they typically will show up in relationships because you're dating a masculine and you're a feminine. It's the opposite energy, right? So it comes up because it is meant to trigger something within you, again, to have it be cleared. So if you are someone that has an anxious attachment style within any sort of relationships, it's think of how you feel when you're anxious. It's that nervous energy. It's that insecurity. It's that like need to do whatever you feel like you have to do to not let the other person walk away. And again, this most likely, not always the case, but most likely is because of the father wound. Depends what is the cause of the father wound, but usually the father wound is because there's some type of abandonment issue. And again, it's that polarity that will manifest within your partner, so then it can present itself to you. So all of these energies and the way that they show up are housed within your root chakra, which is the first chakra located at the base of your spine. It is the color red and it holds many different energies within it. But the biggest energy is to feel safe within your body, to feel safe within your life, to feel safe within your environment, to feel connected and grounded to the present moment and the earth because you are safe enough to do so. So really the only way to heal this father wound and to heal the wounding that stems from that wound, the anxious attachment style, the way that presents itself through nervousness, through anxiety, through insecurity, through need of validation, through people pleasing, right? All of those energies that will show up for you is to heal your root chakra. So because the root chakra, the first 3 chakras, which are the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus, those are masculine energies. You are being asked here to work with the energy of your root chakra as well as work within your own masculine energy to heal these wounds. Now, when you can really begin to understand the thread of this wounding, and what I mean by thread is A, what is causing the father wound to present itself to you? Did something happen in your life as a child, as an adolescent, as an adult that maybe sparked this anxious attachment style to come to surface? Maybe something happened between your dad and your mom when she was pregnant with you, when you were an infant. Maybe it goes past that and it's something that happened within your ancestral lineage. Though if that's the case, it most likely is going to manifest within your dad and show up for you within the lifetime for you on a level where you can be conscious of it. So work through the thread. See what came up with you and your father. Take note of that. See if it is abandonment, which it probably will be, how is that causing you to have an anxious attachment? Is anxious attachment style triggered through someone maybe abandoning you? Does it come up if someone ghosts you, for example, after like a first or second date? Does it come up if you're in a relationship and your partner threatens to walk away? Does it come up within your job if you have a male boss and they're not giving you the validation that you need? Does it come up within your friend group? Right. And you have a lot of male friends and you're constantly, I don't know, maybe insecure around them or not able to speak your truth. Again, there's no one size fits all here. This is why the inner work is so important, because you are meant to sit with yourself and you are meant to sit with your own energy and work through the thread of this wounding to see how it's showing up for you. And then look at the energy that typically present itself to you, especially if you're how you are around men, how you are within your relationship. Are you secure within yourself? Are you able to speak your truth? Are you confident in who you are? And I will tell you something, as someone who is teaching women and reminding women of their power, of their confidence, of their worth, I hold a high level of value for myself. I hold a high level of confidence and worthiness. But to be completely transparent and vulnerable and real, all of that gets tested when you are in a relationship with someone who is incredibly masculine, right? And will trigger these things within you because there are new depths and new levels that are meant to be healed, are meant to be worked through. That's why relationships specifically are incredibly transformative, because they're acting as a direct mirror for you. So just know that you can consider yourself to be very confident. You know your worth. You know that you're a valuable player within this game of life. You know that you're not going to settle for anything less. But because your soul is infinite, and because all of those energies, all of those characteristics, all of those aspects of self have layers to them, when a layer wants to be expanded, before coming on here, for example, before sharing my voice with you today, let's just say I was at one frequency within my confidence, but now that I'm sharing my truth, this confidence wants to be expanded. Well, I need to work through the things that are limiting me from expanding. So that will show up consistently within your life if you are a person that always, we don't have to say always, but consistently likes to grow and do work on themselves and make sure that they're always showing up in their best light, in their best way. You will be triggered because you're no longer comfortable at the frequency that you once were. That's why these wounds will come to surface. It's not a bad thing. They're being illuminated so you can see them, because on the other side of them is growth. So that's why it's so important to always sit with your shit, because this is how growth happens. This is how expansion, this is how awakening and ascension happen. It doesn't just happen. You don't just sit there and be like, "Oh, like I want to expand." You can start that way, but I assure you that because you're giving yourself permission to expand, all of the things that are keeping you small, all of the things that are keeping you from that expansion are going to show up because you have to work through them. Okay, so going back to how to heal this, it's really working with the masculine energy within you. Like I said at the beginning, we have feminine and masculine energies within. We have to bring them to balance. So it's looking at that masculine energy. Look at the masculine energy within you. Where are you not leaning into your healthy masculine within your life? Maybe you're in a season of life where you're heavily within your feminine and you're in creation mode. You don't have to worry about bills. Maybe you're a new mom. You haven't literally had to do anything besides just be. And I love that energy so much. But now it's time. Your energy is presenting itself to you to lean into your masculine to heal the things that need to be healed. So are you taking the necessary action within your life to do the things, again, that are rooted within the masculine? So when you look at the masculine, when you work through the energies, you are allowing yourself to heal the masculine. That's part A. Part B is becoming safe within your body. So working with the root chakra to really allow you to feel safe in your body, and working with the root chakra. And I will definitely do a guided meditation on these for you guys so we can dive deeper into it. But to feel safe within your body can look many different ways, and there are many different ways that you can approach this. The simplest way is by providing that safety for yourself and speaking to your body and letting her know that she is safe, letting her know that she is safe within the relationship, within the job, within the friendship, whatever is showing up for you right now, letting yourself know that you are safe. You are safe to move through it. You are safe to be here. You are safe to be you. You are safe to be in your present moment, right? And it's really working with the energy of the root chakra to allow yourself to feel into where those blocks are so you can transmute them into the energy of security so you feel safe. And now, as I mentioned earlier, right, your internal reality, your internal world creates your external environment. You are, or your external reality is a reflection of you. We know this. I've said it time and time again. So when you allow yourself to become aware of this within you and you heal yourself, you heal the masculine, you bring it back into balance with the feminine, you feel safe in your body, you allow yourself to be who you are. You are aware of the energies that are surfacing. You are aware of that you have this anxious attachment style. You are aware that the father wound is presenting itself to you. Because you are aware of this and because you are actively taking the steps to move through it and heal it, and of course, it's a journey. There's so many layers. It's cyclical. It's not just going to happen overnight. You are therefore going to feel safe with a masculine outside of you. You are going to attract a masculine that is on the same level as you now after moving through those wounds. So when you do this, you'll begin to feel safe and secure, not only within yourself, right? Again, the internal within yourself, but within the external, within the masculine people in your life. That's why it's important. Because if you're someone who wants a healthy masculine partner, that healthy masculine has to be healed within you. You have to look at the father wound and work through that if you want to step into a relationship with someone who embodies the healthy masculine. If you want, and again, this will transpire into all masculines across your life. It doesn't just have to be romantic, but I'm using it because the polarities of these energies can be very prevalent within a container. And I've done the work to sit and look at past partnerships to see like what energies showed up there. I know I talked about codependency and narcissism. Those are energies that show up in a container because they are polarities of one another, right? In a way. So that is that for the father wound and anxious attachment style. Now, I'm going to create a part 2 to really dive into the mother wound and avoidant attachment. This typically shows up in men, shows up in the masculine, but it's not always the case. So I think you should definitely tune in to part 2 of this episode, because if you are someone who is dating a man, if you are someone who wants to date a man, it's good to have the awareness about this so you can help them on their journey, guide them on their journey, while also allowing yourself just to become more aware of what shows up within you at a certain point in time. But B, because you may be a woman who, say, the mother wound is coming to surface and you don't have an anxious attachment style, or at least it's not as prevalent as the avoidant attachment that's coming through. So again, doesn't matter. There's no right, there's no wrong. I'm just sharing the way it typically manifests from what I see in my experience, from what I've experienced, from what I know. So part 2, mother wound and avoidant attachment. Tune in for that next week. And then after that, I will create a meditation to work through both of these. We'll see how that wants to manifest, as if it wants to be a one-shot episode or part 1 and part 2. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I will see you next week. I love you. I love you. I love you. Until next time. Bye.